Welcome back to part 3 of movies that are actually scary. Buckle up because one of the movies on today's list is genuinely the weirdest movie I've ever fucking seen. But for the first movie on today's list, we are going to a viewer recommended movie. This was recommended on part 2 of movies that are actually scary. If you do happen to have a recommendation for me, leave it in the comments below. I would love to cover on part 4 of movies that are actually scary. But today, let's start with Pandora. One of my absolute favorite combinations in all of film is sci-fi and horror. They go together like peanut butter and jelly, which is delicious. And this movie is a little bit like if Lost in Space and Alien got together, made sweet, sweet love, had a baby, that baby grew up to be an 18-year-old consenting adult, and a demon grew up to be 18 years old and a consenting adult, and they made love and had a child. We would get Pandora. You picking up what I'm putting down there?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
But two crew members of a spaceship wake up from hypersleep with the rest of their crew missing. Despite that, it appears they are not alone. Firstly, this movie did have somewhat effective jump scares from the get-go. I would say as the film progresses, it does lean more into the action side of things, less so the horror, but it's still good. It suffers a bit from that aggressive editing style that Saw made so popular in the 2000s. Coincidentally, this movie did come out in 2009, the same year Obama was sworn in. Coincidence? You tell me. I would say the peak of the scariness of this movie is earlier on, where our main character, who is played by Ben Foster, who is genuinely great and underrated in everything he does. Big shout out to Ben Foster. Okay, that's enough praise for Ben Foster. Let's move on. There is a scene early on where his character is making his way through some super tight spaces. They're like tight air shaft corridors made up of tubes and lube, and he does pull out a glow stick to do this. This is where I will address quickly the tubes, lube, and glow stick budget on this film, which must have been through the fucking roof because the amount of tubes, lube, and glow sticks that are in this movie is astronomical. But anyway, he's making his way through these really tight claustrophobic spaces, and I'm not someone who would consider themselves claustrophobic, but he does slip and fall down in this really tight space and he's completely stuck. And the way Ben Foster conveys like panic is exactly how I would feel in that situation. And it did really get to me. I was like, oh my God, this is like a fucking nightmare in my opinion, to be stuck like this. Worst case scenario for me is that I'm reincarnated as someone's stepsister and one day I'm cleaning out a dryer or something and I'm stuck. And then the next thing I know, my stepbrother sneaks up behind me. Yeah, and that would honestly be the worst case scenario for me. Now, like I said, this movie does have some decent jump scares in the beginning. There is the freaky getting stuck situation. Besides that, this movie isn't necessarily very scary. There are moments where I was like, oh shit. But other than that, not super scary. So viewer who recommended me this one, do better next time. But I will say it is a really good hidden gem sci-fi horror film. If you like that genre, it's a little bit like Event Horizon, not as good as Event Horizon, but in that same sort of realm. Now, the next movie, as promised, may actually be the weirdest movie I've ever seen. With the recent passing of the absolute legend Sam Neill, I thought it was only right to go and watch a movie of his that I've been planning on watching for a very, very long time. It's an absolute cult classic. It's spoken about heaps in the horror community, and that is 1981's Possession. A woman starts exhibiting increasingly disturbing behavior after she asks her husband for a divorce. Suspicions of identity soon arise, but they give way to something much more sinister, spooky dooky. And my God, this is such a weird movie. It's very jarring, it's theatrical, it's weird, it's sexual. It's obviously something created and directed by a European. I was correct on that one. It also features what might be the zestiest fight in all of cinema. I've seen two guys kissing on the street that were straighter than that. And I do have to highlight, we get some absolutely incredible performances from Sam Neill and his co-star Isabel Ajani. They are both just at 11 in this movie, just like completely psychotic, going from extremely emotional sad to extremely emotional anger, throwing things, screaming, shouting, hitting. It's insane. It is really, really fun to watch though. I will say that. Now, once again, the most important thing, is this movie scary? No. But wait. It does have some absolutely terrifying horror imagery in it. There is some practical effects and some really unexpected elements of this film that just come out of nowhere. I don't think anyone really reacts to it in a real, realistic way within the movie, I'll say. I don't want to spoil it because it does come out of nowhere a little bit and it is disgusting. If you like movies that are a bit nuanced, it's sort of hard to follow. It's a yucky movie, but the imagery in this movie overall is absolute nightmare fuel. I would love to give you a bit more of an in-depth breakdown of what was going on in this movie, but if I'm being completely honest, I don't think I'm intelligent enough to follow the plot of this film.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
So if you guys could go ahead and go and watch this movie and then come back and explain the plot to me in really simple language, that would be incredibly handy. I know what I've said might put you off from watching it. It is actually genuinely a really fun watch. It's a nuts movie. It's crazy. And every now and then, I think it's just good to watch something that's a bit fucking weird. I think it's good for the soul and it just keeps your mind working, make you guess, what the fuck is going on here? Because I cannot follow it. This movie's a little bit like a Sudoku puzzle. Conceptually, I do understand what I need to do to understand and figure out the puzzle. Realistically, that's just not going to happen. But Possession, worth a watch, not super scary, a little bit freaky. And yucky. The last movie on the list is also a viewer suggested film. When one of the viewers of part 2 suggested to me that I watch Smile 2, I jumped at the chance to watch what is one of my now favorite modern horror films. So yes, I absolutely love this movie, if you were wondering. I don't think you were, but I just wanted to let you know.
I keep seeing this face everywhere.
This thing is a parasite. You witnessed a death. Now it's latched onto you.
911, what's your emergency?
As someone who thought the first Smile movie was a pretty generic, stock standard possession horror film, more targeted towards a teen audience, when I just went and watched Smile 2 on a whim one day, I was absolutely blown away with how great it is. Sky Riley, a pop star, is about to embark on a world tour after a really troubled past. As the week unfolds leading up to her first show, she starts to see visions and things that aren't there and just is genuinely tormented by the smile demon, who we're all familiar with. He does this a lot.
Is this a good smile demon? I don't generally smile with my teeth because I don't know how to do it very well. My girlfriend makes fun of me for it.
This movie has cinematography that has no business being as good as it is. Honestly, such a well shot film, some really creative and just cinematic camera work. It's also carried, and I don't mean that it would have been bad without it, but it is elevated by Naomi Scott's performance as Sky Riley. My God, she's fantastic in this movie. I would honestly put her up there with Toni Collette and Indy Navarrete from Obsession recently in terms of female performances in horror movies. Might not be better than either of those performances, but she should definitely be in the conversation because wow, she is incredible in this movie. Now, this movie has a particular scene that really freaks me out, but I will touch on that in a second. I do want to highlight what I think is one of the strongest things about this movie, which is its jump scares. And I think it falls into the category of the new wave jump scare. It's a term I'm coining. I don't know if it's a term used elsewhere, but my definition of this is it's like a jump scare that you've seen before, but not shit. Smile 2, in my opinion, earns every single one of the reactions it evokes from you. And that is either by lulling you into a conversation with really great dialogue between characters and then hitting you with a really unexpected jump scare, or just really building up to a scare in a really effective way, where you know something's coming and it doesn't do fake out jump scares. It just builds to a scare and hits you really hard with it. Just wham, hits you right in the soul with a good jump scare.
You're suffering a lot, aren't you, Matt?
That's a spiritual punch.
They use music really effectively in this film. Sky Riley is a pop star in this movie, and Naomi Scott is actually a really good singer and talented artist. She has music on Spotify and whatnot. The music in this movie, I found myself after I first watched this, like going back and actually listening to some of the songs. And there is parts of this movie where she's rehearsing or they're playing the music or she's singing, and I found myself just bopping along. Like, before you know it, like, I've completely forgotten I'm watching a horror film. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just watching some fucking nice music pops on the screen. It's nice. It's like a video clip. And then, yeah, out of nowhere, wham, smile demon gets you. And it really throws you off, because I don't think I've ever been lulled into a false sense of security by music in a horror film before. Now, for the scene that gets to me every single time, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen Smile 2. I will keep it quite vague, but anyone who has seen the movie will know what I'm talking about. It's the scene with her backup dancers, and yes, this may sound a bit weird, but the way that they move in unison and stop and start and jump around and freeze and come after Sky in this scene is absolutely incredible, and it is unlike any other scare I've seen in a movie. But the way they even like stack on top of each other and just fill space around her whenever she looks away or runs, or I think is just a genuinely unsettling scene, unlike anything I'd seen before. I think where this movie really won scare points for me is just with how creative it was. I think it did a lot of things that we've seen before, but just in a different and more creative way. And that's why this movie really freaks me out. I think I've watched it 4 or 5 times now since it was released, and it gets to me every single time. And let's not forget, it has a really fantastic one-shot opener as well, which should not go unacknowledged. So yeah, Smile 2 is definitely a movie that freaks me out from top to bottom. So, Pandora, underrated sci-fi movie. Possession might be the weirdest fucking movie I've ever seen. And Smile 2 scares me after 4 viewings. That is the list for today. If you've got any other suggestions for me, please let me know in the comments below. I will be making a part 4 regardless, even if people don't let me know. So, chuck a movie in there. I'll watch it. I'll talk about it. I'll let you know if it scares me. Thank you very much for watching. I love you. Bye-bye.